Welcome everyone to Sports Center. We are live on location at legendary Sharon Springs Field 10 in Cumming, Georgia for a special edition of 5th grade football game day. It's an absolutely gorgeous day for football. I'm Ted Hashmark, and you all know my sidekick, Bobo Longsnapper.
Hi.
We're glad you tuned in, and without further ado, let's get into Saturday's action. It was a full slate of football with Georgia taking on controversial yet number 2 ranked Auburn, Joe Paterno looking for win number 401 in Columbus against the Buckeyes, and Florida State and Jimbo Fisher trying to get back to their winning ways at home against Clemson. But unless you are living under a rock, you know that the game everyone has been talking about all week is Prince's Longhorns versus the heavily favored Whitley War Eagles. Right, Bobo?
Right, Ted.
The week began with a little bit of controversy as TMZ posted the following picture on their website along with a story involving head coach Brad Prince breaking his own self-imposed curfew and partying into the wee hours of Thursday morning at a popular Cumming Mexican restaurant. When asked for a comment on the TMZ report, Coach Prince stated, quote, "It's amazing to me what people can do with photo editing software and a lame celebrity dirt website. I was home with my wife and kids on Wednesday night watching game film and preparing for Saturday night's game." End quote. We asked his son, Bradley Prince, starting linebacker for the Longhorns, if his dad was home on Wednesday night, and he stated that he saw his dad at 8 o'clock, but it was his bedtime and he can't account for his whereabouts after that time. Bobo, what are your thoughts on this controversy?
I believe Coach Prince.
Thanks for that commentary, Bobo. Before we get to the highlights, our sideline reporter, Susie Chopblock, caught up with starting tackle Ben Dame before the game.
Thanks, Ted. Ben, the Longhorns had a fantastic season. How do you feel going into the game against the War Eagles?
Good.
This is obviously the biggest game of your long and storied career. Are you nervous?
No.
Well, there you have it. We're in store for a great game. Let's go back up.
Thank you, Susie. Bobo, I have to say that Ben Dame bears a striking resemblance to you and seems to have the same gift of gab.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm so much better looking.
Whatever you say, Bobo. Let's get on to the highlights of what turned out to be the game of the century. We had our cameras at the Longhorns pregame warm-ups, and I can say that we have never seen them so focused and pumped up. Bobo, you were there. Can you give us a sense for what the atmosphere was like prior to the game?
It was intense.
There you have it. Bobo sure has a way of making you feel like you were right there in the middle of the action, doesn't he? Let's get to the highlights. A packed house at South Forsyth Stadium witnessed the Longhorn captains, Gavin Neese, Drew Brandon, John Park, and Bennett Ois lose the coin toss. Coach Whitley's War Eagles decided to defer to the second half, and the game of the century was underway. The Longhorns came out attacking the line of scrimmage, and the offensive line, affectionately known as the Herd, was dominating the War Eagles' defensive line. With all the action on the line of scrimmage, it didn't take long for Coach Prince to realize he could exploit the secondary. Donovan Lilly, one of Prince's 3 musketeers in the Wildcat formation, took the direct snap and made one step forward to join the linebackers and let it fly. Speed demon Gavin Neese was on the receiving end, and he could go all the way. Touchdown, Longhorns. And after the missed extra point is knocked away, the score is 6-0. Bobo, that was one heck of a pass play.
Yes, it was.
It didn't take long for the War Eagles to answer. They took the ensuing kickoff just inside Longhorn territory, and after an 18-yard gain on a run play, the Longhorns quickly understood how fast their opposition was when number 42 got outside and ran untouched for a 20-yard touchdown. After a successful extra point, the War Eagles had their first lead of the game, 7-6. Bobo, the Longhorns knew that they were a little vulnerable outside, and the War Eagles exploited it early in the game.
Yes, they did.
Both teams scored on their first possessions, and we were under the impression that we were in for a barn burner, but the defenses, and quite honestly, the referees, slowed the pace of the game down. There were several penalties called on both sides of the ball, and it was evident that the referees expected a clean, hard-fought football game. After some stalled drives and a Longhorn turnover, we went into halftime with the War Eagles holding a slim 7-6 lead. Bobo, you were there for Coach Prince's halftime speech. He sure has a knack for getting his teams focused in the second half of ball games, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
The War Eagles received the second half kickoff, and we were underway once again. The Longhorn special teams had some challenges in the previous playoff game, but they were solid last night, weren't they, Bobo?
Yes, they were.
Defense for the Longhorns came out fired up, and after a 3-and-out and a Whitley War Eagle punt, the Longhorns had possession just inside their 30-yard line. Not good field position for a game that is now being dominated by the defenses. After chipping away in some short yardage situations and gaining a first down, the Longhorns then found themselves in a hole after a penalty. Facing a 2nd and 15 situation, Jerry Nees calls the all-too-familiar direct snap, and number 9 Alex Davies catches a key block by Donovan Lilly, and after breaking a tackle, he is on his way to the house. Touchdown, Longhorns! Bobo, how about that block by Lilly?
He should be credited with 3 of the 6 points.
I couldn't agree more, Bobo. The Longhorns fail to convert the extra point, but they take their second lead of the game, 12-7. Bobo, what can you tell us about the game so far?
The score is 12-7.
The man doesn't lie. Unfortunately for the Longhorns, it didn't take long for the War Eagles to respond. After the ensuing kickoff goes out of bounds, the War Eagles take over on their 42. Ironically enough, number 42 takes the pitch on the left side and rambles down the sideline into Longhorn territory for a big gain and a first down. A couple plays later, a fake handoff inside and the give to number 33 results in a War Eagle touchdown. The extra point is no good, and the War Eagles are back on top again, 13-12. A very exciting game.
Yes, a very exciting game.
Defenses take over, and after a stalled drive by each team, the Longhorns take over with just enough time to mount one more drive. They move the ball down the field and get to the War Eagle 27 when the referees decide they want some attention. On a great sweep down the far sideline, the line judge throws his hanky. Bobo, looking at the film, makes one wonder just what he saw. It looked like the offensive line did their job.
Yes, there was no hold on that play.
I agree, Bobo, and now the Longhorns are backed up to the War Eagle 36 with very little time on the clock. The War Eagles stuff the right side sweep, and the Longhorns are forced to spike the ball with time running out. Bobo, that's when lightning strikes, and it strikes in the name of Christopher Dixon.
This play will definitely make the top 10 tonight.
Bobo, it might make the top 10 for the year. With just seconds on the clock, Donovan Lilly drops back to pass and throws a bomb down the middle. It's tipped by the safety, but somehow Christopher Dixon maintains his concentration and catches the ball. He turns around and runs, but is tackled at the 2.5-yard line. Also, in case any of you are wondering, the cameraman has been fired. Sspn has a strict policy of hiring employees who have no allegiance to a particular football team. This idiot was clearly a Longhorn fan, and we apologize for the quality of the footage. Dixon is tackled inside the 3-yard line, but the clock is ticking down. What really impresses me is that the offense realizes that they have no timeouts left, and they quickly get down the field and line up to spike the ball. There is less than 5 seconds on the clock when the ball is spiked, and there is time for one more play. Bobo, any thought at this point?
The cameraman is an idiot.
Bobo, it's disrespectful to call your father an idiot.
Sorry.
Bobo, Coach Neese, offensive coordinator for the Longhorns, called a quarterback sneak with just enough time for one play. I like the call. How about you?
I'm glad you asked, Ted. I think it was a great call. The Longhorns came into this game knowing that the War Eagles were weak up the middle, and Coach Neese was well aware that the Longhorn offensive line was dominating the line of scrimmage. Also, the call was to number 5, Rhino Finnegan, who was their go-to guy in short yardage situations all season. Just like the legendary University of Texas Longhorn football coach Darrell Royal used to say, you have to dance with the one who brung you. So to answer your question, Ted, I think it was a great call that was defended well by the War Eagles. Unfortunately for the Longhorns, the clock ran out on them.
Well, there you have it. It was certainly a game for the ages, and the Longhorns came up short this year. I think it is important to note that the Longhorns' 2 losses this year were to the 2 teams heading to next Saturday's Linear Bowl. Bobo, I would look out for this team next year.
I can only hope they draft me. Hint, hint.
Well, that does it for this special edition of 5th grade football game day. We're going to turn it back over to Boomer. I'm Ted Hashmark.
And I'm Bobo Longsnapper. We'll see you next time.